Canelo Alvarez's trainer, Eddy Reynoso, yeah, he had a whole lot to say about how he feels about black fighters. We're going to talk about it in this video. Oh yeah, we definitely going to talk about it. But before I do that, make sure that you hit my like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subbed to the channel. Y'all don't want to miss this one. So, Canelo Alvarez, he got a fight coming up with John Ryder. Now, I would say big fight, but it's not a big fight because ain't nobody really paying attention to it, you know? But this is not on Canelo Alvarez, so don't get it twisted. I'm not talking about Canelo. And to keep it real, I've never heard Canelo say anything racist towards black people or no other type of race. But I am going to be talking about his trainer, Eddy Reynoso, and his best friend, Eddy Reynoso. Eddy Reynoso is like a brother to Canelo Alvarez, not only his trainer. Now, Eddy Reynoso, he did a recent interview and he had a lot to say about how he feels about black fighters. Now, of course, he did this interview in Spanish, right? He did it with Marco Antonio Barrera. So, of course, you know Marco Antonio Barrera is one of his Mexican compadres, and he felt very comfortable over there, right? He felt in his comfort zone. So when people get in their comfort zone, right, they gonna pop their shit. They gonna keep it 100 when they're in their comfort zone with somebody else that they believe feels the same way, or somebody else that they believe that they can get their stuff off. Well, yeah, Eddy Reynoso did just that. Now, we all know that Eddy Reynoso, he has a whole stable of fighters. Most of his fighters are Mexican. I think he got a Cuban, Frank Sanchez, you know. Most of them are Latino Mexicans, right? And we do know that Mexicans are very prideful. They like to stick with their own people. It ain't nothing wrong with that. So, like I said, when he's doing this interview with Marco Antonio Barrera, he's comfortable. He's gonna say things that he's not gonna say if he's interviewing with somebody else that's not Latino, right? So I think that Eddy Reynoso, he didn't think this was gonna come out because it's in Spanish, right? And of course, the Mexican media and the Mexican channels, they're not gonna say, well, he said these racist things about black fighters. And I know a lot of y'all gonna get on here and say, oh, well, man, it's not racist. That's his opinion. He has his right to say that. He got a right to say whatever he want to say. But that don't mean that he not no racist and that he didn't get in his comfort zone and say how he really feel about black people and black fighters. But me, I'm glad that he said what he said. I want to know how you really feel, you know? So I know how to take you. So I know exactly where you're coming from. So let's talk about what he said. What he was talking about was regarding Oscar Valdez and Shakur Stevenson. Now, he started talking about Oscar Valdez, and like I said, it's in Spanish. So he was saying that he calls Oscar Valdez Cowboy. So he's saying, you know, Cowboy is able to make anybody fight his fighting style. Cowboy can land punches from, you know, all different angles. Cowboy has very good footwork, and he's just an excellent fighter. And they went on to talk about why he lost the Shakur Stevenson fight. And he says, well, you know, those dark skins, right? He's talking about black fighters. He's saying, well, you know how those dark skins do. He says they're dirty fighters. Shakur Stevenson was dirty the whole night, right? And the referee wasn't warning him the whole night. And he was getting away with a lot of dirty tactics. He goes on to say, you know, those dark skins, those black fighters, you know, all they do is jab, jab, jab all night, hold and run, and then they win the fight. You know, that's all they do. They just run, jab, 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 and hold, and then they come out victorious. That's how those black fighters do. You know that. Giving Shakur Stevenson no type of credit at all. He didn't give Shakur Stevenson no type of credit at all. He didn't want to say, well, you know, Shakur Stevenson was the better fighter. Shakur Stevenson had a great game plan. Shakur Stevenson's a great boxer. He didn't give him no type of credit. He just said, well, you know, the black fighters, they just grab and hold and jab, jab, jab and run all night, and then they can get the victory. That's all they need to do. So we know exactly how Eddy Reynoso thinks of black people, right? This is more than just black fighters, because imagine what he think about black people, you know? And Marco Antonio Barrera, he didn't back that up. But he let Eddy Reynoso get his shit off and say what he wanted to say about the situation. But it's mighty funny because when I heard Oscar Valdez talk about Shakur Stevenson, Oscar Valdez, he actually gave Shakur Stevenson all of the props in the world. He says, man, he is a great fighter. He says, man, he controls distance so well. He said, in his ring IQ is excellent. Eddy Reynoso didn't want to give him none of that. Eddy Reynoso is like, basically, they just dumb. They just know how to go in there and move around and run and jab and hold, and they dirty fighters and that's it. Nah, but Oscar Valdez didn't say that about Shakur Stevenson. He actually said, Shakur Stevenson was the better man, and he says, man, you be surprised how smart he is and how great his footwork is. He said, you'll be right there in range. He'll be right in front of you, but you can't hit him. He never said nothing about Shakur Stevenson ran. And I told people, right, when this whole Teofimo Lopez situation came out, when Teofimo Lopez made his comments about black fighters, right? All that, you can keep the black fighters and all that. I said, all he's gonna do is open the door for a whole lot of other, non-black fighters to come out and trainers to say how they feel. And that's exactly what you hearing here, right? Now, a lot of this stuff goes on when these trainers and fighters do interviews over in Mexico, when they do interviews in their own language, because like I said, they feel comfortable and they know that it's not going to get reported like that, so they can get their shit off. And that's exactly what was going on over here. Now, if you look at the punch stats, right, Eddy Reynoso is full of BS. If you go look at the punch stats of Shakur Stevenson and Oscar Valdez, right? If you haven't even seen the fight, see, I saw the fight and I know that he's full of shit, right? But if you go look at the punch stats says that he even more full of BS. And I'm going to just let y'all know what the punch stats is. Now, he said all Shakur Stevenson was doing is jab, and running. Well, Shakur Stevenson only landed 31 jabs in that whole fight. But you know what else Shakur Stevenson did? He outlanded Oscar Valdez in total punches. He also outlanded Oscar Valdez in power punches. Matter of fact, Shakur Stevenson landed 53% of his power punches. 53%. That doesn't seem like somebody that was running the whole night and just jabbing and running. That don't seem like that to me. If a man was able to land 53% of his power punches and only landed 32 jabs the whole night, but he outlanded Valdez 189 punches to 110 punches. So if he landed 189 punches, but only 32 of those punches, 32 of those punches were jabs, somebody didn't messed up. You know you didn't effed up, right? Eddy Reynoso, you know you didn't effed up, right? You know you didn't effed up, right? So like I said, once again, he feels some type of way towards blacks, right? He feels some type of way. He didn't want to give the black fighters, Shakur Stevenson, no type of credit. No, I'm talking about, mister, you know how those darks do, right? It was all type of excuses because he's a black fighter and he just run. If anybody knows Shakur Stevenson right there in the pocket with you. He don't run, right? That's what he don't do. He didn't run from Oscar Valdez. He set Oscar Valdez on his ass and he didn't have to run to do it. But like I said in that same interview, he was talking about Cowboy, Oscar Valdez, how great of a boxer he is, how great footwork that he has, and how he can hit you from all angles and make everybody fight his fighting style. He gave Oscar Valdez all them props, but he couldn't give no props to Shakur Stevenson and say that the man has a great IQ. The man has great footwork. The man has great ring generalship. The man has great range, and he couldn't give him no props. It was all because the black fighters is dirty and they just jab and run all night. Like I said, I'm glad you said what you said, Eddy Reynoso, because now I know exactly how you coming. Right. You know what I'm talking about? See, a racist, they gonna eventually show their true colors. And let's keep it real. A lot of the Mexicans over there in Mexico and a lot of them here in the US, they don't like black people. They don't F with us. you know? But see, when I talk boxing, I don't talk boxing from a racial standpoint. I talk boxing, for boxing. I like all fighters. It don't matter to me if you black, white, Mexican, whatever. If you can fight, you can fight. But when we get to talking about things like this, it's always, oh, you pulling the race card. I didn't pull nothing. He said what he said. So y'all on here, right, that's listening to this, that's gonna jump in the comments talking about, oh man, you black people always no, the man said what he said. And it is what it is. I already pretty much knew how he was, you know what I'm saying? But he came out and just clarified it for me. Anyway, I wanna hear from y'all. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about this. Drop a comment in the comment section, right? Don't hold your tongue. Don't hold your tongue. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me hear how y'all feel about this, and y'all already know how I do. Make sure that you hit my like button. Do me that favor and hit my like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subbed to the channel. Y'all already know how I do. There you go, talking that boxing again, and I'm gone.